All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders which rule great millstone well. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom. Wa abababal. Alright, so it says that on this article, which is from CNN, fight breaks out at grocery store dumpsters after false posts about free food following power outages. All right. It says more than 250 people fought over discarded food in dumpsters after a power outage last week at an HEB grocery store in Texas, authorities said. Quote, "We had over 250 people fighting in the dumpsters because someone posted free food," Travis County Constable Precinct 4 George Morales number 3, or the third I should say, posted on Facebook. "This is not free food." Morales and the Austin grocery store warned residents not to eat any of the food retrieved from the dumpsters. "The food is rotten and spoiled and is unsafe to eat," Morales wrote. A deadly ice storm that swept through Texas last week wiped out power to more than 400,000 homes, businesses, and other electricity customers. All right. So this is the residents of Texas. All right. Pretty much U.S. citizens. All right. And this is showing you what time it is. All right. Which made me think of 2 Ezra 15. Okay. Let me go to 2 Ezra 9 first. All right. Verse 1. "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, when thou seest part of the signs pass which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made." Okay? So there's signs showing you what time it is. Just like this. This is a sign telling us what time it is. "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world," which is happening, earthquakes in diverse places, uproars of the people in the world, "then shalt thou well understand." And I just want to point out, you don't see the uproars of the American people because the Babylonians, all right, they're completely fucking bugged out. All right, they're fucking retarded. All right, the rest of the world is in protest, right, against what they call the elite or the Illuminati. All right, the government, the ruling class of the world, which is the so-called white man, the red devil. All right, but Americans, they're fighting each other over rotted food, and there's no uproar against their government because they're in straight gross darkness. All right, but this is showing you what time it is. All right, soon it's going to get very violent. All right, it says, "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High, Yahweh, spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning," which we have the Holy Scriptures, which are the word of Yahweh, which these are prophecies of the return of Yahushai. Yahushai, the son of Yahweh, is coming to judge the world, to judge the wicked and them that do wickedly. It says, "For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." So this is the end of these so-called white people's reign. The devil the Bible speaks of. "Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings." So this is the end of the so-called white men and the beginning of the reign, which will last forever, of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, which he's going to establish elect men, 12,000 out of each of the 12 tribes of Israel, which the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world of slavery. All right, so this is the plain beginnings, all right, of the kingdom of heaven, which will be here on earth. It says, in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, which one of the perils that are going to be upon this earth, which shows that it's already here, is famine. Why would you have a bunch of people that have cars, have homes in the so-called freest country of the world, right? The most richest country in the world, so-called, all right, but they're fighting over rotted food in a dumpster because it's the end, all right? It says, and shall see my salvation, which is Yahushua coming and picking us up in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Talking about the hopeful elect. All right, we're going to go back to our promised land, which right now there's bastards in our promised land, which is Israel. All right, you got counterfeits, all right, that are claiming to be Jewish, but in fact are Edomites, all right? And the Edomites, all right, they're at the end of their kingdom, and we're at the beginning of our kingdom. The Israelites are at the beginning, all right? So every kingdom that's ever been established on earth pretty much was set up in violence, all right? And that's what we're about to witness, is a bunch of violence play out, okay? It says in 2 Ezra 15 verse 1, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. The Lord's people are the Israelites, all right? The 12 tribes of Israel, Judah, the so-called Negroes, Benjamin, the so-called West Indians, Levi, the so-called Haitians, Simeon, the so-called Dominicans, Zebulun, the so-called Guatemalans to the Panamanians, Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, Gad, the so-called North American Indians, Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians, Naphtali, the so-called Argentinian to the Chileans, Asher, the so-called Colombians to the Uruguayans, and Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. These make up the 12 tribes of Israel, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. All right, salvation is for the Israelites, and no other nation is promised salvation. All right, it says, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So the Lord called prophets and gave them the power to prophesy, and caused them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, which we have the Holy Scriptures in book form. We have it in the Bible app on the phones. All right, and as you can see, they are faithful and they are coming to pass. All right, which this is one of the prophecies. It says in verse, I'll just read through it. It says, verse 3, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. All right, we got the heathen, starting with the so-called white man that is plotting to come against us in violence. We don't have to fear him because the Lord is going to raise the standard. Whether we live, whether we die, we're going to win through Yahushua by the power of Yahweh. The unbelieving, dealing with the Israelites that don't believe, they're counted as heathen and they're going to die in that unbelief. It says in verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. In fact, it tells you that he's going to give you over to your wickedness. So, like, you got these women that are of the lineage of Israel that like to be whores, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian woman, and they're going to be fucking, it's going to be horrible for them out here, man. It's going to be bad, all right? Because the Lord's done with all the wickedness of Israel. So this is a time of repentance and humbling yourself and returning to the righteousness of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai so that you could escape the perils. But them that reject the salvation in Yahushai, they're going to actually be caught up in the perils. And the word peril actually means a dangerous time. All right, peril. Peril. It says a serious and immediate danger. And right now it's serious. Serious enough for 250 people to leave their house and go fist fight for some rotted ass food. Alright? Immediate danger. Alright? Hey, you got 250 people that are in one town, alright, which they must be in famine if they're willing to go fight over some rotted ass food. Alright? Which I'm going to get to what it's going to lead to. It ain't going to just stop here. It's going to get worse. Alright? And it's going to get more dangerous. It says the next definition, the dangers or difficulties that arise from a particular situation or activity. Alright? So that's what's coming. Alright? It's only going to get more dangerous, especially for the women and children. Alright? Because men could battle. You know, you could pick up a stick, you could throw a rock, you could throw hands, you know, you could do these things. But women, as much as they lie to themselves to think that they're stronger or even equal to a man, these women are going to learn that they're not. Alright? Alright, so this game show that they have, it's called Physical 100. It's on Netflix. And you can see this woman, she's a very muscular woman. But you can see this guy that's an average sized man fucking manhandle her, okay? It don't matter about the woman being all what they call strong, because a woman is not equal to a man even though she has muscle mass. Alright, look at this. Look at her. She's big, you know? But look, this little skinny dude just handles her, judo flips her ass, and then grapples her to a point where she has nothing. She can't defend herself. She can't fight him off. If he wanted to, he could rape her. Alright? And that's why you women that are deceived by Esau's, false philosophies like feminism, you're going to be destroyed out here, man. You're going to get fucked up bad out here. Alright? It says in 2 Ezra 15, verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. And the majority of the population is women. Women outnumber the men because the men are supposed to have multiple wives. All right? But these women, because they're so-called liberated, free to do whatever the fuck they want, and they think they're better than a man, all right? They're going to get fucked up out here. All right? They don't have salvation, because salvation for the Israelite woman is through her being joined to a righteous man of the Lord. All right? It says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. The sword represents the so-called white man, which he's a weapon in the Lord's hands that was created to punish the Israelite. And that devil, the so-called white man, is bringing forth this famine, all right, which is being done all orchestrated by Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai in punishment to the wicked and them that do wickedly. It says death and destruction, all right? And it says, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled, therefore saith the Lord. So the devil, the so-called white man, his reign is at the end, and the beginning of Israel is happening. So these two kingdoms are going to collide, all right? You're going to literally have a race war, all right? I'm going to jump down. It says in verse 10, behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter, the Israelites. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, which there's a time called Jacob's trouble, which is going to be horrible for the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian, because you're going to be killed at a high level, all right? And it's because the wickedness, all right? It says in Jeremiah 30, verse 7, Allah's, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the hopeful elect will be saved out of it by Yahushai. But the 2/3 that are here in America, male, female, child, all right, those Israelites that reject salvation through Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, you're going to die a horrible death, whether it's famine, whether it's by the sword, whether it's plague, whether it's wild beasts, all right? Which I just got a video, which they caught a video of a pterodactyl flying in the sky. All right, right here, alleged pterosaurus flying dinosaur claimed to be seen on video. All right, which they have the video right here. Pterodactyl.
Look carefully.
See, and these are meat-eating animals, all right? Which I'll tell you right now, I seen one of these myself when I was younger. I didn't know the truth then, but I seen one of these. I lived in Federal Heights, Colorado, and it was like 3 p.m. and I looked up and it was humongous. It was flying over us, and I seen it with my own eyes, and it looked just like this. But you don't know better. You just play it off, and you don't think nothing of it. And it just hit me recently because I took my own children now to the museum, and they showed that the pterodactyls, were native to Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska. All right. So these animals are coming back. Dinosaurs are not extinct. They're just in hiding, and they're going to be unleashed upon the people by the power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. All right. Ecclesiasticus 39 verse 30. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. All right. So these animals were created with a purpose. All right. It's no coincidence that they're carnivorous, because they're going to actually devour people in judgment. All right. This is Wisdom of Solomon. What is it? 11. And I'm at verse 17. It says, For thy almighty hand that made the world of matter without form wanted not means to send among them a multitude of bears, or fierce lions, or unknown wild beasts full of rage, newly created, breathing out either a fiery vapor or filthy scents of scattered smoke, or shooting horrible sparks out of their eyes, whereof not only the harm might dispatch them at once, but also the terrible sight utterly destroy them. Yea, and without these might they have fallen down with one blast, being persecuted of vengeance, and scattered abroad through the breath of thy power. But thou hast ordered all things in measure and number and weight. So these things haven't happened yet, because it ain't judgment time. But these things are being revealed every day now in this modern day 2023, the year that we pray that Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai fulfill all the prophecies. All right. They're happening now because this is that time of judgment. This is the time when the Lord will visit the earth and punish the wicked and them that do wickedly. All right. So now let's go back to 2nd Ezra 15 verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Which, this is spiritual Egypt. All right, bondage is the word Egypt, and it's a Greek word. It's not an African word, it's a Greek word. All right, the Greeks were so-called Caucasians, the red devil the Bible speaks of, and they called it Egypt. All right, but today, modern day Egypt, which is spiritual Egypt, is America. All right, because it's a state of bondage. All right. So the Lord's going to destroy Egypt with plagues. All right. It says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So he's going to destroy this place like he done the ancient Egypt, but on a whole nother level, because nuclear destruction is going to devour America where nothing will remain. Like right now, you could take a trip to Egypt and visit the ancient, ruins of the ancient Egypt that the Israelites built in slavery. All right. But America, nothing will remain. It'll be a desert. All right. Because of the nuclear destruction that's going to take place as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. And he's going to destroy it by all those nuclear missiles. I'm going to jump down. It says in verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword, the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of, and their destruction draweth nigh. So this devil, he knows he has a short time, so he's coming down with the great wrath, all right? That's in Revelation 12. And that's why there's blackouts and all these other things, because that's that devil, the so-called white man, turning it up, all right? Because he knows he has but a short time. Verse 12 of Revelation 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, the so-called white man, that red devil, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he knows he's running out of time, even though in his mind he thinks he could fight and live forever. He thinks he could overcome Yahweh and Yahushai. All right, that's why he got all this technology that was given to him by Yahweh and Yahushai, but it's only to destroy himself, all right, to condemn him and destroy himself. It says in verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, which you're going to have sedition pretty much where they're killing their politicians, killing the police. All right, the Lord don't like none of these people. The Lord don't like the system that's set up by the wicked and anybody that's a part of it. He don't like the police. All right, the police are murderers. All right, they put people in prison unjustly. All right. So all these so-called ruling class of the system are going to be destroyed by the people, all right? And then the people are going to turn their hate towards each other also, all right? Because as it says in the end of 16, it says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So the Lord's going to give them the ability and the mindset to do these things. Right now, people are scared. That's why you don't have no uprising in America, all right, because they're in a gross darkness. But there's going to come a day that the Lord flips that switch in their mind, and they ain't going to give a fuck about dying or going to jail, all right, especially when their children are starving and they got nothing to eat, all right. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, martial law, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. So if men are afraid, how much more women and children? It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. So just like you saw in that article, next is they're going to start going into each other's houses. All right, this is just a gauge of what time it is. All right, if these people are willing to leave the comfort of their house, drive to this location where there's rotting food, and fist fight, even though there's police everywhere, because look, it says there was police. See the police? All right, they said that the streets were blocked. There were so many cars. Let me get it. It says, right here, as rumors about the free food giveaway spread, roads were gridlocked, and law enforcement responded, Morales said. And these people were fighting. They didn't give a fuck about the police. Shit, next they'll be killing these police and taking whatever they got. Their gun, taking their cars, taking their lives. All right?